Alright, hello everyone, we're now live. This will be a very short stream today, but I wanted to show the bit of optimization I did to the Gaussian splat file. Now, the original Gaussian splat setup, which dealt with like animations and stuff like that, is very complex just because they put in a ton of settings into all this. It's a very fascinating node group, but it's a bit much to decipher. So I've been looking through that, taking it apart and trying to bring it down to the bare essentials to just show Gaussian splats. And also, let's not forget the credits here. Yes. But this is a very cool file. But I've just been going through and trying to make it a bit easier on the computer and my brain. So, from what I've gathered from piecing this all together after the stream on Sunday, is that, you know, there's the color data. I'm still not sure what the rest data does, if I'm being honest, because I just chucked out all of the motion data because I wanted the file to be under half a gigabyte. And then we have the scale data, the rotation, quaternion data, the opacity, and then the compute alpha is actually calculated on the fly, so we don't need that one. I'm going to keep the rest, actually, I'll just investigate that later. So this is the bare essentials for this cat. So here we can see in the GeoNodes part, this is mainly just data conversion because it's faster to do this on the CPU instead of the GPU, oddly enough. So here I can take the color data. Again, this is taking pieces from the big setup over here, the absolute monolithic setup. Right here, basically, I would go through disconnect parts, delete all unused nodes, and then repeat, boil it down, like making maple syrup, oddly enough. But yeah, this part is just getting the color and then computing it so that it doesn't look like a deep fried mess. But that's like that, and then turning this into an Euler, so we convert this into a quaternion from the floats, and then the quaternion to an Euler so that we can use that in the shader editor without having to convert it into a matrix. For the scale, we take these parts right here, take their exponents because that's what they did internally, turn it into a vector so that it'll be faster in the shader editor. And then with the mesh to points, we just need the points to be big enough so that they don't cut off the Gaussian splats. So I just take the length of the scale, multiply by 3, and then do all that. And then for the view sorting, this is so that it doesn't look super weird. I would assume with regular Gaussian splats, they just sort it automatically on the GPU, but here we have to do it on the CPU. So we just take the camera transform, and then set it to be -1, do all that, and then that works. Set the material, and then do that. So in the material side, it's not too complex with the opacity. I just took that from the GeoNode editor, pasted it into here, and then we multiply that by the somewhat complex thing. We get the geometry position and the point position instead of using the attributes. Again, we're just using a point cloud-based method, and then in the Gaussian splat transform, I use the object to world transform so that you don't need to use geometry nodes to make sure that this is rotated correctly. It's just a matrix transform, except all the useful inputs are hidden and turned into enums because, again, this is a very ancient node. Though speaking of ancient nodes, this one actually saved this project to a degree. Because with vector rotate, this has an invert option, which, unfortunately, we don't have quaternions in the shader editor, so I could not use the invert rotation node, so I just had to use the old one. But it worked out just fine, less data being put into the shader editor, and all that, just use a vector for that, and then we divide by the scale maximum just because they had that in there and it's cheap. With all that, we project that with the transformed incoming vector. This makes it so that if I were to just disable that, we would see it has a few issues, which I'm assuming here. Let me just take the length. Yeah, no. I'm assuming this is to make it so that it basically flattens the point clouds so that the splat, since the splat is kind of in 3D space, it doesn't get clipped. And we can't really invert point cloud holes, but it works out just fine. Okay, and then that's to the power of 2 divided by 2, exponent, multiply, and then there's all that. So boiling it down and isolating it, it's a lot simpler than it originally looked. And I'm glad that I don't need to use the 3 vectors to describe the matrix. I can only use 2 vectors for an Euler and that. Even though it might be a bit more expensive because Euler rotations might be a pain compared to just 3x3 matrix, but we don't have those in the shader editor and all that fun stuff. But we have all that, and then all this. Did you fix the 10 frames per second playback? Well, since this is the non-moving version, it's going to work a lot better. Now, it will lag a little bit if I go in super close because, well, Blender does not handle many alpha layers as well as, like, native Gaussian splat renderers. This is rendering, first of all, mesh point clouds, and then, like, this is making it so that the point clouds have a shape, and then it's multiple layers. Well, with Gaussian splats, I'm assuming they're just sending in the math and saying, oh, that's good. Not even going through the mesh stage. And there's probably a way to, like, make the overdraw lighter, or maybe they're just doing stretched triangles. I would need to look into that, but I'm not sure. But yeah, basically just taking the data, isolating it, removing everything else, all the other options, and just making it so that we can see this. Now, there is a good chance that some of this is still not great. It might be a little broken in some places, but visually, it looks okay. So now I want to go and play around with this. So I'm going to go and take the position. Let's just use a noise texture, a normalize scale, and then I'll go and use a length node, or no, we'll use a distance because I may want to plug in an empty. I'm just gonna go and offset our nice little, let's see, let's set that to be min or max? Let's do min. We'll do that, plug that into there so that we can go and obliterate that. Wait. There we go. So now we can go and obliterate the cat model. Just completely atomize it. Which is one of the coolest things to do with Gaussian splats. Just phew. Well, I think we need to set that to be the power of 2. I will read the chat in a second. Sorry, my brain is just running super duper duper fast. But yes, this is a nice project. It's got me out of, nothing gets me out of burnout like optimizing some node setups. That is what I got paid for a while. Not with this file specifically, that other client work. But yes, let me read the chats. I'm assuming I've missed a few streams where you've been working on splats, but I'll ask anyways. Are you creating a splat visualizer in GeoNodes, or are you generating the splat from an image sequence? No. In this case, I'm using the... Oh, I should have had that open. There's a Blender demo file. Let's see. Or a demo file on Blender's website made by these fine folks over here. Let me go and get to the... Please don't automatically download. It's automatically downloading. Whoops. Okay. So with this link, just scroll down to the GeoNodes tab. Did it try to... Or actually, wait, this might be a better one. Actually, no, that would take you to the download page automatically, which it's a gigabyte. Oh, wait. It is a gigabyte heavy file, so you may not want to do that. I've thought about putting this optimized version, because this is under 10 megabytes, up on my Gumroad, but that would be very weird to put up, even though it is a demo thing that's just making it lighter and a bit easier to look at. It would be a bad idea to put that on my own personal Gumroad page. But if someone were to want this, yeah, no, I should put it up there, or I should put it up somewhere where it cannot be monetized, of course. But if someone wants to look through this without downloading a file that's a gigabyte. But yeah. If you want to go and download the original, follow that link to the Geometry Nodes tab, I think. Yeah, it should be in the GeoNodes section. But yes, so what else to do with this? So with this, there should be around 170,000 points currently being rendered, which I am surprised it's being this performant with this many alpha layers. Now, if we were to go to cycles, that would be a different story. And also, I got the nunchuck scene in here. Even though with this one, it did not have the raw color data, so I converted the sh_0 to the color channels just so that I would not have to change anything. So just nice, baked. And with this, it makes it around 15 gigabytes, megabytes, which is not bad. Just one frame. Looking around, it's pretty cool. To avoid the... we'll just move the camera around. To avoid the Z... Uh-oh, that's a problem. Why would that be a problem? I'm going to assume that the camera just cannot see too far away. Yes, that explains it. No, we want that to be much further away. Come on, buddy. There we go. Now we can just bring this around. Am I orbiting a, What am I orbiting? I should be orbiting the center. Nope, I am... I am just... Wait. Wait, why did it... Oh, it's not centered on the origin point. Sorry, it's been a while since I've, done all this. There we go. So let's just go and zoom into something with a small bounding box. Now I could look around. And we can see, since the sorting is working, we're not getting any weird errors with all of this. And it's looking quite good. Now let's go and show the cat once again. It is, yes, being Thanos snapped, of course. And it looks quite good. Quite good, I must say. I have been thinking about other optimizations I could possibly do. Let's go and use the scene time node. Put the seconds into there so that it'll be obliterated at... There we go. Lovely. And then obliterated. Now we are getting a crisp 16 frames per second, which isn't great compared to other Gaussian splat things, but again, Blender was not made for this. So it is oh wow, that is very pretty. Then re-atomize the cat. And this means that we can do some cool simulation node stuff as well. Yeah. Let's see, I need to check this out. I have Blender 3.4 downloaded just for a splat add-on, but I'd rather have a GeoNode asset. Yeah, I would recommend using Blender 4.5 if you can. Let's see, I was going to use a random value. What I want to try is making it so that it'll look like it's like raining, I guess? We'll see if I can make this work. Vector math multiply. What I need to do is use an add node and then plug you into here, this into a fraction. I might need to slow it down even more. Set this to be -1. And, oh, right, this. There we go. That is something, isn't it? I was hoping it would look a little bit better than that. Though I can make it so that it'll only happen depending on the scale. The ones that are big don't move a lot, and those that are small do move a lot. Let's go and take a look at that. Multiply, and then let's go and get the scale. Well, yeah, I turned that into vector anyway, just for this purpose. And then divide by the scale, and let's make this very, very small. There we go. So now we can see the big splats are not going down a lot, and then these ones are. That is a cool little effect. Very nice. Quite nice. Let's go and select you and make it so that all this can be running around independent from everything else. Let's not forget you, just so that I can have all the setups working in parallel and not interfering with each other. Let's take a look at that and do that again. Put this one into a frame as well. Again, this is just me testing a ton of stuff. So again, cat gets Thanos snapped once more. There's more that I want to go and check in the main file over here because, again, this is massive. I have no idea how, like, this must have taken, like, weeks to assemble. Because look at all those options, just for the different, like, color types and all that. Absolutely mental. Look at all of that. Look at all of that. Oh, but they are using formula rotations there, and then, yeah, no, that is very interesting, but that's all for, like, color transforms, which we don't need. Like, 90% of this we did not need for just the basic, like, without any bells and whistles. This is just running on the minimum amount of nodes. Again, all the huge layers that you saw were just for the color, where for just the default option, you can just use that, and then you're good. Having so many options is quite impressive, I must say. But yes, again, Thanos snap. So what else can we do with this? I guess I could play around in the shader editor a bit more. Let me go and save this file in its current state. So if I were to straight up disable the this part of that, we can see that that looks, yeah, quite cool, quite cool. Though if I were to change this to use the length, we would see the, yes, precisely as I intended. Though, what if I took the minimum of all these? So if I separate X, Y, Z, and then use a minimum to choose the minimum of all these values. Min and max are always very, I keep forgetting that they do the inverse of what I expect. Ah, there we go. So here we can see just those parts. Quite cool. Ooh, though a bit laggy, gotta say. What other things can we do? And one cool thing that I did to try to optimize it, though it didn't really work the way I wanted to, was deleting based on the size. So if we go and get the scale of these points, get the length, and then use a less than node, we can see the resolution start to degrade as we go and set this up. So if we make this go like this, wait, what? I mean, it shouldn't do that. Oh, do we need the... Oh, this is the exponent version. Yeah, that kind of makes sense. Let's set that to be 2. Or actually, wait, I'm just gonna go and get you. Wait, no, something is very wrong. Oh no, I forgot to turn off attribute text. Yeah, but at least it's all true. That's good. Off attribute text for the love of all that is holy. Just go and get you, and then take a look at you. Greater than? Wait, what? Oh, right, because of the exponent. All these are set into the negative beforehand. That is very interesting. Let's take a look at you. So yeah, why did you freak out? Yeah, no, that's how that should... Okay, no. Everything was working okay. Yeah, see? Okay, maybe I just connected the exists rather than the length or something? Or no, it's still not rendering for some reason. Very, very odd. Why did it stop rendering? Because... No, that's so weird. Is that a bug? Spreadsheet. Point clouds. No, all the data is there. So why would it be having a hard time? Is it because of the sort elements node? Wait. Nope, not that. That's weird. I didn't think that would break it. Oh, maybe the material gets wiped. Why would the material get wiped? That material. Okay, that's very odd. Is that a bug? Because that is not good. Especially with the release candidate being 1 day away. Or tomorrow. Yeah, This is weird. Anyway. Not the biggest deal breaker, but yeah, no, that is odd. Okay. So yes, here we go. So if we remove most of the bigger point clouds right here, we can see that the amount doesn't go down by all too much before we see a dramatic difference in the result. But if we flip this around, we can see a very, very low res cat with only 16,000 points. And then if we change this to be even lower, we can up res the cats. Here we are. We have a full res cat, half res cat, lower res cat, lower res cat, and then we just keep going. Come on. Until we get just blobs. That's Gaussian. Wait, that looks like an anteater for some reason. That is funny. Yeah, Gaussian splats are very interesting in the way they're constructed. I still don't know how they're constructed. I assume it's like some sort of weird packing algorithm that's just like, oh, try to fit the oblong circle in all these parts depending on multiple cameras and all that. That's why I assume goes on, but it's probably much more complex. Yep, that is that. And we can still obliterate the cat. But yes, that is very cool. But yeah, we're almost at 30 minutes. I think that'll be good for now. Need to get a screenshot for the thumbnail. Yeah. There we go. That'll be good. Okay, what else? Is it easy enough to swap out the PLY file to your own splat? That I don't know. In this case, it was imported as just vertices. So the raw data from this is just this. Just a ton of points with their data. So if you import like a PLY file or an Alembic, because Alembics now support attribute data, or if you import USD, because USDs I think support all the data, including matrix attributes. But basically, if you can import the data on points, you're good. And then it's just a matter of making it so that they render properly, which this makes sure that it does, because it just assembles it. Yeah, that is that. So in theory, if you imported your own splat, it could work. In theory. Let's go and turn it on once again, and then this one once more. Because obliterating the cat is very, very funny every single time. Yep. Still weird about the delete geometry node removing the shader, or the material. This one, I like this one. But I think we should make it so that it goes in the opposite direction. Oh yeah, that is cool. I could make it so that it uses the noise for the displacement. And yes, of course, I know that's way too much. Let's go and scale it down by several orders of magnitude. Turn off normalize, make this 0.01, still way too much, 0.001. So now we just have a cat that is constantly shedding. So a normal cat. We can see that the frame rate goes up as we turn the noise detail down because this is, again, 165,000 points. And we can do other things. So if we go into the shader editor, we could use, if I stored that time attributes, let me just go and store this as time. This is not included with the splat. This is something I'm doing on my own. Yeah, no, that'll work out just fine. Let's go to the shader editor and use the time attribute to go and change the color. So use saturation value, plug this into here. Let's go get the float, use a map range, plug it into here, and let's do some funny stuff. So let's go and make it so that... no, I should just use the regular time gradient without it being affected by the scale, because that is a bit better. So here we can see those parts, but let's make it so that they get really, really... That might be a bit much, but I was going to say really, really bright. Power... Yep. Nothing else. That is interesting. Oh, but we need bloom. General, compositor. Oh, they already had some stuff in there, didn't they? Okay. Let's go and turn on the compositor and yes. That works out quite well. Now, the one other thing is that this is in the raw color space. If I were to change it to filmic, it washes out the colors, because I'm assuming that, like, actually, wait a minute. I might be ever so slightly dumb. Or actually, wait, no. Yeah, no, I was like, wait, the exponents. I wouldn't need to, but that's on the scale, and that's, yeah, no. I would need to, yeah. So that's in raw, but changing it to standard would probably be a little bit interesting, unless just connecting it to there would, yeah, no, that doesn't fix it. Still looks cool, though. So I'm gonna keep it in raw at the moment, because the raw data has already been converted. Yes, anything else? I could make it so that the particles fade instead. So instead of them changing color, I will read the chat again because I can see that a lot has happened there. And I need to invert this. So let's go and do that. So that'll be like that, and then they'll actually fade out, leading to a nicer looking effect. They still pop in, but it's not that bad. Though, if I were to use a color ramp, which is no longer the first when I do my typing scheme, it keeps changing, always changes. But yes, if we do this, set it to be that, just so that they don't pop in, that's pretty cool. Let's go back into the Juno tab, just so that we can go and edit things. Just keeping the parts here separate, because if they're not, I can get confused very fast. Yep, there's the cats. And we can go and scale this up even more, maybe give it one level of detail, but it is starting to lag. What if I did just, you know, make it so that would go up, or no, up. Yeah, I do like that. Your cat is being ascended to heaven. And right there we can see all the different parts. There's the cat, and then there it goes. I guess that would make for quite a cool hologram effect. 0.25. Yeah, no. It would make for a cool hologram. Let me read the chats. By the way, is there a way to make those splats interact / contact shadows and whatnot without the geometry or scenes? That's the thing about splats. Everything's baked in. So this doesn't contain roughness data, metallic data, subsurface scattering data, or anything like that. Everything is just baked in. So if you want custom shadows, they wouldn't be accurate. So it's probably best just to leave it as is. Gaussian splats are very interesting. Great for seeing scans in detail. Like I saw this macro splat of like a bee, and it was so cool seeing the detail for like the fur, because it's very hard to get that with standard scanning. It does have a place, but for making new stuff, Gaussian splatting isn't... Meshes are still king. By a long shot. And also, this does not have normal data. At least in this version. I would assume that some splats do. But yeah, not right now. Let's see. Have you tried the new HDR implementation in Blender 5.0? If you own an HDR display, of course. No, I do not. No, I do not own an HDR display. I currently am using 2 identical $75 monitors. They're they get the job done, and they're very nice. Very nice and small bezels. Yeah. Most of what I look at online is compressed to hell already, so I'm like, HDR, it won't really matter too much. But yeah, it is very cool for those who do have that. Let's see, I don't know much about splats. Do they run well on GPU? I'm wondering how practical this is in terms of performance. In Blender, it's not too practical in terms of performance. We can see that with this, it is quite laggy. But with native Gaussian splat renderers, the results can be quite impressive even on mobile. So that is cool. Anything else I should do? I don't know. Do I already have this to the power of 2? No, let me go and to be power of 2. Ah, that's better. Much better than it being linear. So we can get, see, when this is disabled. Yeah, no, this just looks better. Set to be 0.5 so that we can still see the cats. A lot better, but, well, actually power of 3. So that we can see the cat, but still see the absolute constant shedding of materials. There we go. Yeah, that's quite cool. We're past 30 minutes, so I should wrap this up. I have many, many things to do. Yeah, I am a fan of this version of the effect. I do need to try more shader things with it, because again, with the noise, kind of gets toned down a bit. The power of 3 here, but it's fine. Let's go and put you here and here. I can hear my GPU revving up. That. Yeah, that is overwhelmingly standard. Shader editor, let's go, and we can keep you there, but I want to still play around with deep frying the cat. Which is quite the sentence I did not think about, but no, making the cat glow spectrally. Which, bloom is on, correct? Clear, bloom, high, highlights. Threshold is 0. And this should... okay, let me just go and... Bloom. Keep it simple. Yeah. Okay, so let's go into the compositors so that we can go and edit all this. Because it's in the raw color space, I assume that's having few issues. Okay, so just the size is the issue here. And it is working. Okay, shader editor, hue shift, part right there. Oh, that is cool as well. Quite cool. And that looks like smoke to a degree. And also, I want to take a look at nunchucks file, which should be worked out. Nope, that one's... What is up with you, man? Why is that one freaking out? Is it forgetting what its material is? Oh no, because of no. It's because of the time thing. So I'd have to put on both the thingamabobbers. You know, nope. Well, yeah, because it's basically the same thing. Yep, it also works on that. Nice crisp lag right there. But quite cool. Okay, so that is that. I should make it so that it is not as reliant on that time data. I should invert it so that if it defaults to 0, it'll just be like, oh, no problem. And it'll be on its way. Actually, yeah, let's do that. So that everything can still be up and... No, that would screw with that. No, it's fine. 1 minus, just to invert that, but we won't invert it on the main thing. So right there, that's good. Shader editor. We can just leave you like that, I assume. And then that'll be like that. And then for you, we can just have you be like that. Invert that. And there we go. So now the nunchuck scene, in theory... Wait, no, that wouldn't work either because the time... Yeah, no, that was dumb. We don't need to do that either. Okay, no, I'm just getting confused by my own simple setup that I made 3 seconds ago. Nope, not that one. Okay, just go back to the shader editor, invert that once again, that and that, which is now means that that's doing nothing, but that's okay. We're playing around. So I just need to remember that, yeah, the nunchucks are not showing. Why is there another one in here? Oh, right, because that's the ref. Yes, there we go. Okay, 37 minutes. I think that is fine. Let me check the chat. If you have the cat as a geometry, the normals and proximity to the surface can drive things. Well, it's not really... well, it's a point cloud. So I could get the distance to the point cloud, but it would still be very weird. Let's see. So you show this on instant. Honestly, I wanted to see what was the secret sauce behind the scenes. Well, again, this is a boiled down demo file, which, again, the link to the actual demo is in the chat. Just scroll down to the geometry node section. You'll see the real-time 4D Gaussian splatting demo. Again, what I'm working with here is just the condensed version that only has, well, basically my optimizations to, or only this specific splat, which has the raw color right there, and then the scale and all that, just simple conversions, just to make it work easily. Because again, no matrix data besides you, but that's just for the sorting, is needed, which I'm so glad that that worked. Just 2 vectors, one being an Euler, one being a standard vector, and then 1 color right there. So 3 vectors being stored. Yep. For all the data conversion. Not bad. Alright, that I think is it for today. Thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. Let me just go and return this to the somewhat simpler version because the color change didn't really work out too well. Let's go and move the camera to a nice place. Uh-oh. Oh, yep. The sorting is having a whale of a time because I'm moving it after the sort, which is not exactly the best idea, but oh well. Let's go and turn off the compositor. Am I still in? No, it's still in the raw color space. Yep. Thank you all for watching, and let me read the chat real quick. Let's see. Why does it seem like there are particles always floating upwards? Because I specifically made it do that. If I go and disable it, and also turn off that part, it is just the standard Gaussian splat, which, yeah, let's just have that as the end frame right there. Just the standard Gaussian splat. There we go, just simplifying it a little bit more. And it's a cat. But yes, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one.